I'm Aryeh Schwartz alongside Rachel Galligan, and welcome to the Winsidr Show, where it's all about the W. The All-Star pool is set, the Commissioner's Cup is being played, and WNBA Mondays are back with a vengeance. If you like our show, please consider joining our Patreon community. That's patreon.com/Winsidr. Patreon.com/Winsidr. For less than a cup of coffee a month, you can directly show support for the hard work we do covering the W. And don't forget to see our amazing staff's written content over at Winsidr.com. In preparation for the season, we have expanded our content on Patreon and on a variety of social media platforms. Make sure you are following Winsidr on TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitter, and YouTube. And again, make sure you check us out on patreon.com. Welcome back to the Winsidr Show. Very excited to be here with the great Rachel Galligan. Lots to discuss. You are back stateside, Rachel. We already discussed the Rising Star Invitational. Hopefully I got that right. There has been just like an insane amount, flurry, a flood, a bursted pipe or something of WNBA news that has just flown at our faces over the past week, specifically the past few days. A lot of cuts, a trade in Alyssa Smith to Las Vegas from Dallas for the 2027 first round pick of Las Vegas Aces. They in turn cut Tiffany Mitchell and Liz Kitley. What was the other one? News today, right before recording, came out that the Mystics are shopping Aaliyah Edwards, a top pick in last year's draft, and a player who made it to the finals of the one-on-one inaugural Unrivaled tournament, taking it to Fee. And then subsequently, quotes that came out from head coach Sydney Johnson, essentially saying that he's unaware of it and that he's not privy to that information. We'll touch on that in a moment. Yeah, I roll exactly. But then quotes coming from Aaliyah Edwards, who she's unaware of it and she hadn't seen the reports and she's just trying to stay focused. So a lot there. We have the Commissioner's Cup is happening tonight. You will already know the results before this episode comes out, so we're not going to talk too much about that. We already spoke about it on our Bleacher Report live stream. You can check that out on bleacherreport.com under the WNBA tab, and make sure to remind them how much you love our show. But also, we did make predictions. You said Lynx by 13. What did you say? No, you said 15. I said 16. We'll stick with it.
Yeah, why not?
All right. Yeah, why not? And wait. Oh, okay. So I don't know if you remember, Rachel, last year in the Commissioner's Cup, Bridget Carlton went off, and so did Fee, obviously. And in my opinion, it was quite clear. I wish we could pull up those stats, but it was quite clear Bridget Carlton deserved MVP of the Commissioner's Cup. She did not get it, remember? And we will not forget. We will remember. So I'm curious for you, like, is it just point blank Fee's getting Commissioner's Cup MVP? Do you think there's a possibility if Minnesota wins that another player gets it? I mean, it's always possible K-Mac goes off for 35. It's always possible someone else goes off. But yeah, well, I guess if you were a betting person, Rachel, and I know you're not, if you were a betting person, what odds would you take on the field of anybody besides Fee winning MVP of this game?
Anybody besides Fee? I don't even know how to explain odds.
Well, Clark's not playing. I don't know how to explain either. Do you think, all right, let's put it this way. I will give you 25 cents. You can put the money down that Fee's going to win it and you get your money back. Or you can put the money down that somebody else will win it and you'll get 50 cents. Which you going?
Well, it's 25 cents. So at that point, I'm just going to go for
go for 25 million, Rachel.
I'm going to try to double my money.
All right.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think there's a very, 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 very strong likelihood, if I had to put my life savings and my possessions down, that Napheesa Collier wins MVP. But that's just like going off of what we've seen so far this year. I do the bigger picture is just kind of the disappointment about not being able to see the Fever at full strength yet again. I just feel
wait, though.
What?
No, I just want to know, when you say full strength, what do you mean? Because unless you've been living under a rock since our last show discussion, the DeWanna Bonner drama has been quelmed, at least for now. She's no longer on the roster. She's no longer actively on the cap. She was waived by the Indiana Fever. So I like where you're going with this. I just wanted to know, is there ever a point this season we'll see them at full strength?
That's my point.
Yeah.
We haven't seen it yet. I think we've maybe that game against New York was as close to a full strength, I think, is you could maybe anticipate seeing this team. Obviously, Bonner, and I'm not even just saying Clark's injuries. She has been injury ridden this season. So not having her in the equation obviously impacts the hype around this game and the excitement around this game in a giant magnitude. Doesn't mean I don't think that the Fever can be competitive without her. I definitely think they can, but it's just like, whether you have the head coach out, you've got DeWanna Bonner who is out. And at first it was just like, oh, she's just out. She's missing a few games. And then it was like, oh, she's out. Like, oh, she's not coming back, obviously. Mm-hmm. Then you've had Clark out. She's back in. She's out. It's just been such I don't even know the right word to explain it. Just when you have so much hype around a franchise and the unrealistic hype and expectation that people had coming into this year. And then, it's just typical basketball stuff and typical, issues and adversities that a team is dealing with throughout the course of a season. No, we have not seen this team at full strength. And we will not see this team at full strength tonight because you don't have Caitlin Clark in the equation. So, I don't know. Again, is it possible that the Fever, hit their stride and we see what this team can look like and they have consistency? That's the word. It's consistency. We've seen very little consistency across the board with this team. But I fully expect and have, the Minnesota Lynx have proven time and time again that they're the number one team in this league right now. Do I think that they've played their best basketball? No, but they're still the top team in the league right now. And they're as case in point, look at them on the standings, and they're at home more than anything. And I just think Napheesa Collier's on a different level when she's on the court versus when she's off the court. This team are two completely different types of animals. And, she's the front runner for MVP right now. And there's a reason for that. So I just don't know when push comes to shove and the pieces that they have around it, the consistency, the confidence, everything that Minnesota's, the discipline that franchise is. I just, I see them walking away with it tonight. And like I said before, the betting odds would be that Napheesa Collier's the driving force behind that.
Yeah. Can't question that. I will say, actually, now that I'm looking at it, I'm going to push back on that. I was going to say that Minnesota, in comparison to New York, has kind of had an easier schedule so far. But no, heck, they've had some tough games. They've played Seattle a few times. They've played Phoenix twice. Beating Phoenix both times is impressive.
Minnesota and Indiana have yet to play each other this season. So. And I think they've played Indiana's played New York 2 or 3 times.
I think they played twice. They lost that first game by 2, and then they won handedly in that next game. Look, I don't think this is the episode we're going to dive into the whole top tiering of the league and kind of where we see it.
We just got to talk about the talking points of this week. So let's move on, because we obviously, Commissioner's Cup, whatever, it doesn't count towards the standings, but hey, let's get some people paid tonight. Love it. Cool. Expansion.
Oh my God. Okay, so I'll say my piece, and then because I know you have more to say on this. I think cash in while you can. My biggest frustration, my biggest anger is that there has been a clear intent of picking NBA franchises that want to expand to the WNBA size. I could do a whole episode without anybody else talking, just 30 minutes of me ranting about why that is not good for the W historically and actively. And, in the Bleacher Report show, you kind of brought it up, but who's part of the summit? The Nashville put a bid in. They don't have an NBA counterpart. Peyton Manning, I think, was part of it. Maybe some other play. Maybe Candace Parker's part of it. The team name, the thing that I really liked about their bid, Rachel, was that they came into it with a team name and a logo. They said, hey, we're the Summit. We're building off of women's basketball legacy, and we want to move forward with that. But yeah, in general, a lot of actions, right? A lot of starting these franchises when I feel like, and I think you'll talk more about this, are like we haven't. I don't know, what do they always say? Like, make sure your house is good before you start trying to fix the outside or whatever it is. Like, there's leaks and holes in the foundation of the WNBA, but we're adding on a playroom. We're adding on a backyard pool and stuff. Granted, though, they've made just with these 3 new franchises, 750 million? It's a lot of money. A lot of money. Rachel, you're much wiser than I. What are your feelings on this vast and fast?
I mean, look, it's incredibly exciting. We knew there was going to be an announcement. We knew there was going to be an announcement of some sort of expansion at some point relatively soon. I definitely didn't anticipate it was going to be 3. 3 new
at once is wild.
So that definitely kind of took me back a little bit. I'm still kind of right now processing Toronto and Portland. Like, it feels like Toronto's progressing. They're making announcements. We have a logo, like we have a name, we have people in the front office. Portland, it's kind of the opposite. Don't really know what's going on there. We had news. What was it? I think a week ago, less than a week ago, about this is the president that was there for like 2 months has now like
barely
down.
She's gone.
I don't know. Portland feels very off kilter to me right now. They feel like they're behind the 8 ball for a team that's, should be progressing and getting ready for competition. Again, I mean, a lot of these markets we've been talking about for a long time now. I mean, the topic of expansion has been something we've talked about for what? It feels like 4 years, 5 years at this point. So it blows my mind that we're jumping from what feels like we had 12 forever, at least, in recent years, to now we're all going all the way to 18. I kind of wonder at times, like, I'm very surprised by Detroit. Cleveland, shout out to the MAC. I've been to Cleveland many times. We've had our MAC tournament there. I've spent time in Cleveland, in that arena where the Cavs play. Bringing back some historic franchises in the league. It's interesting, we've done this once before. It didn't work out for whatever reason. Let's give it another try again. Obviously, all NBA markets. I think that's the bottom line here. Is if it's the bid is not tied directly to NBA ownership, it's not happening. That's just where we're at. Like they're not interested in any sort of private ownership groups coming together and investing in a franchise. It's the same reason why Denver doesn't have one right now. The Denver bid was not tied to Kroenke and the Denver Nuggets. Had it been, I can almost guarantee you we would have a WNBA team in Denver right now. It was a private group, and they didn't have the facilities, and they weren't willing to put somebody up on a college campus, until they built a facility. That's just not where it's at. They want the facilities. They want the backing. They want that type of security that comes with an NBA franchise. And I mean, you look at the statement from the Tennessee ownership group. I thought that was pretty telling. Mm-hmm. I mean, to put it out there like that. Like, I've been saying it. I think people have kind of picked up on it, but I don't think people quite realize that that's what's going on here. It comes down to NBA ownership groups. It was Bill Haslam who said, we understand and accept the WNBA's decision today in awarding franchises to NBA ownership groups. Like, he just called it out.
Yeah, and I respect that. And I'm sorry, I've been saying this. Like, that is not the way forward for the W. Historically, the NBA has not shown it wants to invest. They, for years, lied about the revenue the league was making, for the investments that they were making, for the best business practices. Like, I will end it with my whole soapbox of this. We've been following the league for a very long time, Rachel. We've been covering the league for a very long time. When people succeed in the W, they use it as a stepping stone to move on to the NBA. When people are not producing in the NBA, it's very often that they're demoted to the W. Or, you need to prove yourself to get to the NBA. We'll give you a job here. It's used as a stepping stone. It's used in a bad way repeatedly, in a disrespectful way, if you ask me. And I think it's super problematic that the league continues to give a larger and larger percentage of ownership of the league to NBA owners. That's just my 2 cents. But that wasn't the only crazy news coming through. Oh, wait, side note. With Denver, Rachel, why, like the
We
part that
didn't.
drives me crazy is if you're bringing a team in 4 years from now, you can build a facility by then. Give Denver
Well, and that's what
2030, you
they
build
said.
a facility.
The ownership group was like, "We're going to build the facility. We just want the bid." And the league was like, "Well, we want the facility before we give you the bid." Allegedly, I
Yeah.
think it comes down to, again, the Nuggets are not involved to this point. Kroenke, who owns the Nuggets, has not been involved in any type of WNBA bid. That is what that's what this comes down to. But yeah, Cleveland starting play in 2028, Detroit 2029, Philadelphia 2030. So
We better get throwback jerseys
yeah,
from old ABA days, from
we're
the old
getting to that
WNBA days.
point. Yeah, we're getting to that point. We already talked about Commissioner Cup. We talked about expansion. Let's talk about these trades. Melissa Smith going to the Las Vegas Aces. That was, I mean, I literally am like, I got home yesterday from Singapore, which was fantastic, by the way. I'm laying in bed. It's like I got back at like 9:30 in the morning and I'm like delirious. I'm texting you. I'm like, I'm just going to like try to sleep and relax. And I just couldn't. My phone was just like popping off, popping off, popping off. And maybe it was for the best because it forced me to stay up all day and get back on American time. But like, I could not process all the different types of information that were coming through, from all the all-star information that came out to Melissa Smith being traded, from expansion, Smith being traded. I mean, a win for Dallas. A win for Dallas. I think it's interesting. That was a huge acquisition for them in the offseason, in large part to, in theory, attract Dejanay Carrington to come to the Dallas Wings. But we know that it's a little bit logjam there in the interior. I don't know. I think it's a win for Melissa Smith being able to go to Las Vegas and have a much greater role. That hasn't really been able to be established so far here in Dallas. And we know she's capable. She's shown it at flashes through her career, especially at Indiana. Vegas is needing, they need help. They need help. What currently is on the roster, or what they've been working with up until this point, is not going to cut it. They know it. They needed to make some moves. Melissa Smith can help them. It is a little short-sighted. She is going to be a restricted free agent next year. That means, obviously some negotiating rights there with Vegas, but I mean, everyone's going to be on the move next year. And to give up a 2027 first-round pick, there was a lot of backlash. I was able, I always love reading the comments after a trade goes down. I mean, ultimately, it's a win for both for different reasons. I think it's more of a win for Dallas, just on what they currently have and what the future means, that they're willing to invest in the long-term rebuild. And again, I feel like we've been talking about Dallas rebuilding for a decade now. We've talked about Dallas with first-round picks for a decade now. It's weird that we're still talking about them like in the lottery, but that's a whole other episode. We can talk about that. But nonetheless, a first-round pick in 2027 is a pretty big deal. And I think, they walked away happy with that. What are your thoughts about Vegas with, though, that this just seems, it definitely screams a little bit of desperation in terms of, like we've got to try to piece something together to make this work for the rest of the season.
Oh, it's extremely desperate. I mean, like, let's be real. Melissa Smith in her 18 games so far this season is down in everything.
Like 18 games?
I think so. I mean, that's what it says. So the league says so far. She started 15 of 18 for Dallas. Yeah.
Wow.
Look, in every way, shape, or form, her numbers are down. Her minutes are down, yes, but her points are cut in half. Her rebounds are trimmed. Her assists are steals. She's slightly better in blocks, slightly less turnovers. Field goal percentage is down.
We know she's capable. She just needs a larger role.
She needs a larger role. She wasn't getting that in Dallas. Dallas is not going to the playoffs, at least as it stands now. Vegas has that opportunity. This is a win-win-win in terms of what's best for Melissa Smith in her career, to get a real opportunity with a franchise that is desperate to find somebody to pair next to A'ja Wilson, to be mentored and modeled from greatness like Becky, like A'ja, like Jackie. There's a lot of positivity for Melissa in this. And honestly, like, where would you rather be right now? Would you rather be on this Dallas team that's really just trying to like play the season through and like figure out who's going to be on the roster next year? Or do you want an opportunity to prove yourself and then they can match any offer and keep you? So I think it's truly a win-win-win. The only non-win is, like we said, you're giving up a first-round pick for Alyssa Smith right now. At this point, you could have probably gotten away with something lesser.
Well, and let's talk about Vegas in the draft. Like, I mean, outside of Jackie Young and Asia Wilson, I mean, it's been a rough few years. They don't have a first-round pick now until 2028 as it currently stands. The last time they had a first-round pick, 2022, that's when they selected Maya Hollingshed out of Colorado and Kirsten Bell, who still remains on the roster. Very limited role, understatement. Interesting though. Yeah, like it's just but do they have to rely on the draft? It's the Las Vegas Aces. You've got Mark Davis. The city's paying everybody $100,000 extra because no one can stop them. Like, Las Vegas is still, in my mind, I would think, got to be the premier destination in the league, and one of them, at least the top three. Do you disagree with that, or is that starting to shift? Because my point is, everyone's getting ready to go through free agency, and everything's getting blown up a year from now. Like, Vegas is just sitting here saying, we're just going to bet on free agency. We don't need draft picks, and we've already proven we suck at the draft.
Well, they've proven they suck at the draft since Dan and Bill left. So here's the thing. First of all, like, it's not all rainbows and sunshine. You have the lawsuit and the issue with Hamby. That's not the only case. You have some other situations with former players talking about issues there. So fine. Like, this is not like, oh, Vegas is perfection. Now let's just talk about the basketball aspect of it. Vegas doesn't have a GM, right? Vegas's GM up until this point over the past few years, in my opinion, has failed to produce a roster to take advantage of the greatness of Asia Wilson and the other stars that were locked into this roster. The only thing Natalie Williams was able to do was to get star players that were going to take team-friendly contracts to take team-friendly contracts. Okay, so like, the biggest concern I have is, one, as things continue, you start to question Becky more and more and more. She found success off of a roster that somebody else built and put together and just couldn't get over that hump, right? It's as if, Steph White was able to get that victory in Connecticut. Look at how much hype Steph White had going to Indiana after never winning anything. Just imagine if she did win it. But now that come down is happening. My biggest concern is, you can have the city paying people, a quarter of your or half of your WNBA contract as a bonus. You can have the facilities and all these perks and everything. That doesn't equate a championship. That might equate getting a good roster. That might equate having a talented roster. But Rachel, we know it's not about putting together the most talented roster. If it was, that LA team with Liz and Kennedy Carter might have won something. If it's about putting together the most talented roster, Liz in Vegas might have won something, or Seattle in last year with Jewel and all of them might have won something. So it comes down to a lot more of it. I completely agree. They are going to be a destination no matter what. But the question is more so, can the person that is trying to bring the chess pieces together put together a actual roster that's built to win and built to be successful? That's my take on them. What other? Leah Edwards supposedly is being shopped around, but the coach doesn't know about it. That's just an absurd statement. I'm sorry.
What? That's like, should Vegas have targeted Edwards?
In my opinion, yes. I mean, maybe you can argue Melissa Smith brings a more of a physicality, and Becky's been talking about needing that more physicality, so I understand it from that degree. But like, obviously I would have to look at the exact cap numbers of it, but just from a brief peek over to her hoop stats on it, you got Leah Edwards. She's cheaper than Melissa Smith. And you would have her for a much longer period of time. You would have the fourth-year option for 2027, and then she would be an RFA in 2028. So you would have had her much longer also. I think arguably the question was DC not willing to turn her for just a single first-round draft pick? Maybe they're looking for more.
Right. Yeah. What else? What else is going on? Well, Golden State's getting their roster back. They decided to waive Julie Van Loo, which was very shocking to me. Like, there's a lot of stuff on social media about it. and you're reading the discourse and you're reading whatever, like the part that sucks for me is like, you decide to build a franchise, like largely based on international players, knowing that this was a year where, a lot of them were going to leave mid-season and come back. Maybe, a question of prioritization in the future, things like this. That's difficult. I've been so high on Golden State and what they've done and how they've performed. I'm just really disappointed in how this has gone down. And maybe there's more to the story that we don't really know. Is just talking heads or as media members. But, Belgium wins the championship. She doesn't, from my understanding, she doesn't stay and really have the celebration and the huge moment with her team and with her country. She gets on the plane, she comes back, she posts on social media that she literally touched down. I don't know if this means she's literally in the airport and finds out.
Wait, Rachel, she literally on her social media, if you follow her on Instagram, her story, it was a photo of in the air.
I saw that.
Yeah,
with
circled
like
with a heart over the Valhalla of her all excited to come back home. The only other thing that I will, and then supposedly, as you mentioned, is cut there. The only other thing that I'll add to this was I believe I saw, maybe I'm making this up,
I don't buy the visa thing. Don't even say it. I don't buy
no, not that.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I'll say it just because you brought it up. There's a rumor that like something about her visa, her being in America, that seems, I don't know enough about that. I'll speak to my friend who works in the visa department.
I deal with visas. No.
The thing that I did see a quote from was from Mike T, who's the head coach of the Belgian national team, talking about how LA was less of a struggle to get, I'm blanking on Julie Alleman, to get Julie Alleman over and to have her leaving the WNBA season. It was less of a struggle dealing with LA than Golden State, I believe, was the quote from Mike T, just to add a little bit more painting of the picture. That's all.
In terms of logistics or in terms of just like what they were agreeing to?
It seemed like, from my implication, it seemed like it was more so the franchise. The franchise was being more difficult about wanting her back and how long she was going to be missing and things like that.
Nonetheless, they're getting a lot of heat for it. And I think it's rightfully so. I mean, again, this is what you agreed upon when you decide to make an investment in top international players. And so I don't know whether it's a punishment thing, whatever direction Golden State is going in. I just don't understand. I don't understand it because I think she's such a vital piece to this roster, but just the way it went, even if that's the case, that's fine. You want to go a different direction. I just feel like it needed to be handled better.
Well, that's all right. Yes. Point blank. No question. There should have been a communication before anything. And you and I have know this very, very well from the media perspective, from the breaking news perspective of if there's a cut happening, if there's a trade happening, if there's player movement, we have always done our utmost and have delayed things, have not broken things. And this isn't to pat ourselves on the back, but we've always understood that there is a personal element to this.
Yes.
And if a team goes, hey, we don't want you to, I know you have this information. Yes, it's confirmed. Please don't run it. We haven't alerted the player yet.
Oh,
exactly. And so for me, I'm saying, yes, Rachel, there is no way, shape, or form that it should have happened in the way that is being perceived by all of us, that she was unaware of it. And then it was just kind of dropped on her lap when she arrived in America. Absurd. Bring back the old phones on the airplanes, Rachel, with the credit card swipe. Call them up. But the thing that I will say, just because you know me, I need to play some devil's advocate. On the flip side, is it purely how they handled the situation, or is it that they bring her back and then they cut her? Because what do you do if the player that you bring in to fill that role is playing better? And they were in camp, and in camp you had that tug of war, and you're like, oh, we got to go with Van Loo. Van Loo's having a good season. She steps out. That next player comes in, has an even better season. It's tricky.
It is tricky, and I think it's part of the gamble that these international players have to understand when they leave. And I mean, it works both ways. You're leaving one team to go play with another team in the middle of the season, and there is a certain level of maybe at times that can be taken wrong or be taken in a certain way. I mean, I don't know. There's a whole host of players that left the Golden State Valkyries, and are now back and set active on the roster. So, I mean, I guess that is a part of the equation. It just sucks. I'm a huge fan of Van Loo. I have no doubt you feel like, there's a ton of teams that would love to have her as a part of their roster. Certainly, it would be nice if like the Sky or someone like that could find a way to bring her in, because I just think she's so good for this league. And then like to have Emma Miesemann posting on social media about you got to remember,
she ain't going to Golden State.
I think they blew those chances there. Well, yeah, you got to really wonder though, like moving forward, this has been kind of a big deal, like between the international players, like players talk. Like she's super respected. Belgium just won this is a huge deal. And this is how like it's handled. I don't know. Like it's going to be interesting to see how that kind of is perceived moving forward with a franchise that felt so hands-on with international players. But yeah, Miesemann, sounding like there's a really good possibility it could be Minnesota, New York, Phoenix. I think those are the front runners in terms of where she could land. To be determined. Where would you like to see Miesemann end up?
Honestly, I think
Phoenix could be pretty cool.
Phoenix or Minnesota, I think those two would be really cool. With Minnesota, it gets a little interesting. Like we know Emma's not afraid to come off the bench. We know that it would be an amazing 1-2 punch of her and Fee. It adds that offensive firepower they need. To me, you add Miesemann, it puts them over the top. It's that element that they're missing, especially with Carly possibly out for the season with that ankle injury. That's still a question mark. With Phoenix, it's like with Minnesota and Phoenix, it's New York. Like it's almost like the rich getting richer, and like that might impact it more just because.
I don't know. What's New York's record in the last 5 games? 1-4.
Totally understand, but you're missing your key. And we should talk, and we'll talk probably like come around All-Star time. We can go more in depth because I know you got some traveling coming on, but like we can go more in depth about New York. New York has issues because defensively you demand to have Jonquel Jones. Otherwise, you don't have that interior.
They're not 100%.
And then what we talked about going into the season, the concern of adding Natasha Cloud. Natasha Cloud is a great facilitator, great floor general, great defender, is not an elite scorer. She's not a shooter. She'll have 1 or 2 games where she goes off a season, maybe one in a playoffs. That's not going to right the ship. And the problem is Natasha Cloud is just a better defensive version of a Allie Quigley. Courtney Vandersloot, in the sense of what they got from New York, in the sense of like, she's not bringing that offensive tenacity, firepower that you get from Leone Fibic. Without Fibic, without JJ, their defense is now much weaker, and then their offense is much weaker. And what happens when both sides of the ball are much weaker? You lose some games.
What is JJ's timeline?
I think it was 4 to 6 weeks. It's been like a week or two. To me, it comes down to like, okay, you add. So what's your lineup, right? You're going Sabrina, you're going JJ, you're going Emma, you're going Stewie, and you're going Fibic as your starting 5. Then Cloud comes off the bench, or maybe you keep Cloud because she has that connection to Emma. Like
they've lost 5 of their last 7.
Yeah, they've won 1 in their last 4, Rachel. But then on the Minnesota side, you add her there. She can come off the bench. She can start a little bit here and there with Fee dealing with knee and back issues. You can ease Alana Smith's role. You add that offensive firepower. Yeah, you still have some guard concerns, but that's whatever. With the Mercury, it's just like, look, you add Emma, that puts you, in my mind, solidly into that level. Like in my mind, yeah, they're having a great season. They're doing great stuff. They are not on the New York, even though they've beaten New York twice, they are not on the New York, Minnesota level at full strength. I think that puts them into that realm. If she can seamlessly, like enter into that. But again, it comes down to, in what we haven't talked about Bonner yet. Bonner gets cut by the fever.
Bonner going? Like, is Bonner going to end up in Las Vegas? And we know they're trying. We know for sure.
We know Vegas is trying. That's why they're making the cuts. That's why they're making these moves. And they need a player like that. But here, the thing is, like, at the end of the day, Emma's the one that you want. If you can't get Emma, then you go for Bonner. If you're Phoenix or Vegas, right? Like, that's a fallback for both of them, because we know at this stage of their career, Emma is the better player to have.
Yeah, is it one of these things where the dominoes have to fall first before we see where the other domino goes? I don't know.
Yeah, we're back to free agency, Rachel. A great way.
Great way to in the middle, start of July. It's great.
Yeah. Cool. Oh, yeah. Great way to end the episode, unless you have any final thoughts.
No final thoughts. I'm excited to watch the Commissioner's Cup tonight. I'm headed back out of town. Just got back from Singapore. I'm headed out of town to under 18A competition in La Palma, followed up by under 18B competition in Lithuania. So I don't know. We may or may not try to record next week. But you know how it is this time of year. And after that, I'll be back mid-July and locked in. So if we don't have one next week with me on it, you can fill the time with something else.
Cool. I want to remind everyone, check out in our show notes, we have our affiliate link. You'll notice Rachel is rocking a really cool shirt from Homage. It's in the show notes. They got cool stuff for throwback teams. Heck, they've had the Portland Fire shirt for a while. Maybe it won't be a throwback in like a week. And then you can check out this dope thing in the affiliate.
If you guys haven't seen my Colorado Explosion shirt, since we talking about throwbacks, check that one out because it's pretty cool. I'll send you.
Yeah, I guess you get paid for it. They don't pay me for it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to give people some gear. But all right, cool. Stuff, they haven't come out with any Colorado stuff. And you know what? We're depressed right now because we're not getting a team. So
we'll talk to them. We'll see what we can do. And hopefully be expanding our partnerships with Homage and Breaking Tea over the very near future. Excited to discuss more about that on the next episode, hopefully. But until then, we'll chat next time. Peace.